I know many occupations which were longer than Israeli occupation, than the Israeli occupation. Some were even more brutal, even though it's getting harder and harder to be more brutal than the Israeli occupation. I don't recall one occupation in which the occupier present himself as the victim. Not only the victim, the only victim. If to phrase here, if to quote here the late Golda Meir, she once said that we will never forgive the Arabs for forcing us to kill their children. We are the victims. We are forced to kill their children. Poor us. And as the victim and the only victim in history, again, it enables us the rights to do whatever we want, and nobody is going to tell us what to do, because we are the only victims. To this, there is a third very deep-rooted value, and this is the very deep belief, again, everyone will deny it, but if you scratch under the skin of almost every Israeli, you'll find it there. The Palestinians are not equal human beings like us. They are not like us. They don't love their children like us. They don't love life like us. They were born to kill. They are cruel. They are sadists. They have no values, no manners.
They don't have an end game. They don't have an answer to the crucial question, what will be the day after? Look, the army needs desperately a victory. I don't know if this is possible, but that's the challenge and that's the motivation right now. The army needs it desperately because faith in the army is very low now. It's the army, it's also the soldiers in person, you know. They are really motivated now to prove themselves after the fiasco. And nobody knows what are the real capabilities of this army, who in the last 50 years was mainly preoccupied with chasing children in the Kasbah of Nablus and standing in checkpoints. That's not a way that you build an army, that's not a way that you train an army. And the same methods were tried before, and the same policies, and the same promises, and the same hollow, wishful thinking that now we will solve the problem, and it was never solved, and it will never be solved if we'll continue, if we'll stick to those policies. To think that what we are doing now, we tried so many times, it never succeeded. The United States tried it so many times, it never succeeded. It always ended with horrible bloodshed without any positive results whatsoever. And even the Americans mentioned it, that they have the feeling that the Israelis have no clue what to do the day after. Where are they aiming to? It's very nice to use all kind of hollow slogans like we will crash Hamas, we will smash Hamas, we will destroy all the infrastructure, we will do this and this and this. Time will show how, what will be the outcomes. On the surface, I think it will have to put an end to Israel's arrogance. It will have to put an end to the feeling in Israel that we can do whatever we want and nothing will happen to us. We will never pay any price for nothing. We can put people in a cage for decades and we will never be punished for this. That we have the army who is superpower. We build this barrier over the Gaza border for billions of dollars, and this protects us. And above all, also that the Palestinians are totally incapable of anything. All this was broken on Saturday. Will the parties take the lesson out of it? I don't know, I'm not sure.
The Israeli government sees me as an existential threat to their settler, colonialist, racist apartheid regime. And they've done everything that they can think of to discredit me and try and destroy my career and, if possible, destroy me. and my family. Am I going to keep attacking the state of Israel and its policies in the West Bank and in Gaza? Yes, I am. And I will until the day I die. Or they modify their position to give human rights to the indigenous people of all the lands between the Jordan River and the sea. It's really simple. This whole story for me didn't start till 2006 when I went to Palestine. I saw apartheid in action, even if it was just the roads. Wow, this is weird. You know, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's for Jews only. Don't be daft. Yeah, it is. You can't go on this road if you're not a Jew. You're kidding. No, I'm not. The guards at all the crossings and placings you have to go to. And even me, there I am with my British passport, because we were in UN vehicles, we were treated like, they didn't quite spit on us. But then I thought, Mom, if they treat me like this, imagine how they treat the Palestinians.
As the son of an Israeli, as someone with an Israeli passport, as someone who has friends and family over there, obviously, no one approves of the slaughter of innocent people. No one. And of course, I am concerned for my friends and family who are in Israel. That being said, I do not stand with Israel at all on what's going on. And I'm finally starting to realize how brainwashed I've been. I was taught to love Israel. I went to Jewish elementary and Jewish high school. And, you know, we're singing the Hatikva, the national anthem. We're singing all these Jewish songs, and we're taught this one very specific view of history. We were taught basically that, like, the land was ours. We were taught that, like, well, we tried to offer them a solution. We tried to offer them peace, and they kept on attacking us. And the reason why we kept on gaining more and more land was because they would start wars with us. And we would defend ourselves, and we would just end up with more land until we would try and give it back to them every once in a while, but they wouldn't accept it. And now I'm starting to recognize more and more and more, firstly, that the Palestinians are living in, this is the phrase that's being thrown around, an open-air prison. 2.2 million people who are being restricted in their food, their water, their electricity, their fuel. Children who are born into a prison who are never going to be able to go anywhere and do anything. And this has been going on for 50 to 60 years. We were taught to resent them. And so, you know, obviously, again, the killing of innocent people by the Palestinians, awful, terrible, inexcusable. And then I watch Israel's response, carpet bombing this open-air prison with 2.2 million people. They're doing the same thing. I do not stand with Israel. I stand with the Palestinian people. I do not understand how we as Jews can stand by while a nation cries for freedom. They are trapped there. It might not be as explicit as putting them into gas chambers, but it's still genocide. And we talk as Jews in regards to the Holocaust of never again. Is it just never again to us? Or is it never again? Because I thought it meant never again. We were told that Hamas beheaded 40 babies. And we look at that, and that gives us like, oh, well, they are terrorists. You know, that's beyond any freedom fighting thing. That is that there's beyond no excuse. And then turns out, wait a minute, there is no evidence of that. And the news outlets that first put out that story then retract the statement. You can't retract a statement. Once it's out there, the damage is done. Because let's say you publish a news story and 10 million people hear the story of Hamas beheaded 40 babies. Then you post the retraction. Firstly, the retraction doesn't get as much news as the original post. So 10 million people heard you say that Hamas beheaded 40 babies, and only 2 million people heard you make that retraction. And even of the ones that did hear you make that retraction, half of them don't believe it. And even if they do believe it, that image is still in your head. There is no denying that Israel has been using propaganda. So much of what we know is not the truth of things. So we don't know. You don't know what's happening there. I don't know what's happening there. There are a few things that we can know. We can know the big picture story. We can know that there are 2.2 million people being subjugated in that place who cannot live their lives. We can know for certain that civilians were killed from Hamas, from the Palestinians, and we can know for certain that even more civilian and children were killed by Israelis' response. So, firstly, let's open up our interpretation of everything that's going on there. Let's move from this binary, black and white, to they are wrong and we are right, to wait a minute. The Israelis are causing more death, really, than the Palestinians, and we're being taught that, wait, we're the good guys here because this is our land kind of thing, because we're standing up for ourselves. It's not our land. We were given the land. This is like, if someone comes up to you, the government comes up to you right now and says, here's this person, they're a refugee from Syria. This is their house now. Like, what do you mean this is their house now? Well, here's this person, they're a refugee, they've been in a lot of pain, and we've decided to host these people, so this is their house now. You're going to have to leave. I don't want to leave. Okay, fine. I'll tell you what, they'll take the left side of the house, and you take that little 10%, that one room. You keep your bedroom, but they get the rest of the 90% of this house. Is that acceptable to you? And you go, no. Now it's your fault. So go to your bedroom, and we're going to lock you in there. That's basically what happened.
Appalled that our governor would spend millions and millions and millions of our tax dollars to go and try to save 50, 60 people from Israel, and at the same time not allow any Palestinian Americans to find refuge here. As a Christian, I follow Jesus, who is a Palestinian, who in my scriptures at the age of 2 had to flee because of the killing of innocent children. He fled to Egypt. He was a Palestinian refugee. For my Christian colleagues and anyone who professes to follow Jesus, please do not talk to me about making room for Jesus in your heart if you cannot make room at this time, in this space, for the Palestinian who needs our help and our safety. It is incumbent upon us all to be present with those who are marginalized and oppressed, and in this moment, in this time, we need to be present with our siblings who are experiencing this oppression to make sure that the ones that are here and our neighbors are safe, and the ones who need safety, that we advocate for them and make space.
אני נמצא פה בהערכת מצב עם שר הביטחון יואב גלנט, עם הרמטכ"ל הרצי הלוי. אנחנו פועלים יחד כאגרוף מחץ למטרה אחת, לחסל את החמאס. אנחנו נותנים גיבוי זה לזה. ואנחנו נותנים גיבוי לצבא ההגנה לישראל, ללוחמים שלנו, למפקדים שלנו. ואני מבקש אזרחי ישראל שתדעו דבר נוסף. אנחנו מקבלים את ההחלטות כאן ובקבינט לניהול המלחמה פה אחד. אנחנו עושים את זה באחריות רבה, אנחנו עושים את זה גם בחרדת קודש. אנחנו נלחמים יחד,